I think there's something wrong with this drawing I made.
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Maybe it's the...
Wait a minute, I see. This piece sucks ass.
Anyone else tired of doing things you hate? Whether that be filing paperwork on time or removing the organs from an innocent bystander, we all have to do things we hate. It's just a part of life, right? Well, I think it's something that can help us in our creative lives too. Nothing worth doing is going to be easy, and that goes twofold for anything you'll actually be paid for. I know it can be a bit of a boomerism, but it's true. You can't go your entire life taking shortcuts. At least not on anything that's actually important to you. If it's stupid crap that doesn't light your fire, then that's a different issue. But when it comes to making art, there are no shortcuts. At least none that aren't gonna fuck you over later. Think about how many Twitter artists refuse to draw backgrounds. It's a skill that doesn't take a long time to learn, but requires effort. So they never learn it because they feel like their art is good enough. Personally, I don't like that mindset. So what am I actually talking about? In general, we all have difficult parts of our job that we wish we could skip. When it comes to work you're not passionate about, that can go doubly so. We tend to hate anything that's both difficult and unfulfilling. But there does come a time in every artist's career where they have a choice to make, and that choice is to improve or to stagnate. The trouble is that it's difficult to improve yourself. It requires practice and studies. Sometimes the worst part is that you'll make something that you're unable to share with others due to bullshit censorship, or it's a new type of piece that's outside of your norm, so you can't get the same feedback on it as you would with your usual work. So let's think about when you're doing things you dislike that will harm your work. One of the things I hate to hear in the creative fields is that you should be working towards a financially stable job in art. Unfortunately, for most, this doesn't mean headlining a project of their own. It means drawing someone else's idea over and over again. I believe this is where a huge disconnect lies. Yeah, you can shut up and draw and get into a professional studio like that, but does it feel any different than being on an assembly line? We all work jobs we hate for corporations that barely even know we have a name and not just a barcode on the back of our skulls. When I say all this, it's not about destroying the powers that be. It's about empowering those who are better than that. If you have it in you, you'll be better served working for yourself instead of practicing something you're not passionate about or something that you will come to hate. So where can practicing difficult things help you in your day-to-day? I've noticed that when we discipline ourselves to complete work, even if it's not the best, can force us into a mindset that will yield a more productive outlook on our work as artists. When you look at your own work, you are acutely aware of every mistake, shortcut, and flub you made to get to that final result. But finishing that piece you hate, it can give you the framework to not repeat the same mistakes. In a sense, you're treating it more like work than a hobby. But if you're serious about art, it'll make your output better and more consistent. One way I'll look at my work is to say, it's just today's piece, I'll do better tomorrow. Then I'll try to outdo myself the next day. One thing to remember is that art is not a skill to be learned in a day. It's something that grows with you. So it's okay if you're not the best day one. Nobody was. So why are these seemingly small things so difficult? One idea to remember about creating art is that not everything is the main subject of a piece. It's okay to fudge things like backgrounds. It takes time to learn and develop. The worst thing you could do is stop trying. These parts of the artistic process are difficult when viewed as a whole. You ever tried planting seeds? Crops don't grow all at once. Flowers don't bloom overnight. It's something you have to feed, water, and give the best chance of growing. For a simpler metaphor, have you ever tried eating a cinder block in one bite? Now instead of focusing on what's going to give you trouble in a piece, try focusing on a subject in a piece, then adding a layer where you experiment. Every drawing program, even MS Paint, has layers now. You might as well use them.
You know, Reed, you'd be better at drawing if you sucked less.
Yes, thank you for your insight.
You're welcome, Reed. I'm glad I can be such great support.
So who's gonna do it if you won't? This has been my sentiment towards any artist with a passion for creating, but doesn't quite have the tools to execute that idea. Put simply, I'd much rather see your half-baked ideas rather than seeing you rot on a game of Age of Empires. When building a project, the hardest one to create is the first one. Sometimes it'll shoot the original time frame you had in your head out the window and require you to rethink the fundamental aspects of the story. But it's all worth it for a project you believe in. I'm serious when I say it. I'd rather see something half-baked that feels human over another highly polished movie that feels corporate. I think one of the last things we should think about is how we could practice doing things we don't want to without burning ourselves out. The easiest way for me was to do it passively. Small improvements add up and can lead to a much more fulfilling artistic career. I'd avoid stressing over it. There are a ton of artists whose output is entirely determined by their own perfectionism, meaning they don't make anything, even though they have the skill to do so. We may hate a piece while we're creating it, but it's not worth shooting yourself in the foot just so you can avoid the inconvenience of a piece not being perfect. Sometimes I would even recommend drawing something that makes you enraged. If you're traditionally an anthro artist, try humans and vice versa. Creating something you hate can train you for the struggles in life, and it can help you in your artistic journey as well. To practice things that are far out of your wheelhouse can give you a better baseline for creating a different and unique take on the world. An important thing to remember is that you don't need to make everything perfect. If anything, most of your work won't live up to how you see it in your head. This is all part of the creative process and will push you as an artist. When you work towards your own self-improvement, it'll creep out into other aspects of your life. In conclusion, make some mistakes. Eat a cinder block.